Hello, my name is Hank. I am a community playtester for Darktide, and today I have something exciting to share with you. Tomorrow, Grim Protocols releases the next update for Darktide, bringing us, among other things, Havoc mode, a new mission, some two-handed great swords for irrelevant human classes. Who gives a rat's ass about any of that? We are here for one thing and one thing only, and that is the new Heavy Stubbers. And that sounds kind of like a contradiction because we already have the Heavy Stubbers, don't we? We've had Heavy Stubbers in the game since launch. Well, yes. Here's the thing. Those are Twin Linked Heavy Stubbers. It's two of them stapled together to form an extra strong machine gun. That's not what this is. Look, there's one on the screen right here. This is a single Heavy Stubber. Just the one, not two of them stapled together. Now you might think, Hank, if they just pull the Twin Linked Stubbers apart, and now we have one of them that has, I don't know, half of the magazine capacity and half of the rate of fire, then that's not a very exciting weapon. And if that's what these guns were, then I would be inclined to agree with you. That doesn't sound very exciting. But fortunately, they have been taken into a different direction while they were being developed, as Fatshark recently explained in a dev blog covering the creation of these guns. And the Ogryn uses these guns as sort of makeshift precision rifles. The magazines have been filled with high caliber shots, and the Ogryn has apparently been trained or taught or intuited that he can squint and grab the gun really tightly and actually try to shoot someone in the head, and then that will have results. Wow, revolutionary technology for the Ogryns. Speaking of technology, these things have a flashlight, finally, as their special action. So you can't bash people over the head with it, but you can illuminate dark areas. I'll show you the flashlight itself in a minute. But first, I will show you what all of the three marks look like. They are placed in terms of like light, medium, heavy, which is how a lot of these guns in Darktide work, in the wrong order. This is the light mark, the one with the most rounds in the mag and the lowest damage per shot and the best handling characteristics. But this Gorgonum, and this is the Krourk Mk IIa. On the Twin Linked Heavy Stubbers, the Krourk is like the unwanted middle child, but here that name Krourk is used for the lightest mark, the snappiest, sexiest, best handling mark with low damage per shot but low recoil. And that's confusing, I know. It wasn't my idea. I'm not sure who came up with that. I disapprove. It's confusing, but it is what it is. Krourk on the single barrel Stubbers is the light mark. Then we have the Gorgonum Mk IIIa. You can see the barrel is slightly thicker. Rounds are getting a little bigger. This one has a cute canvas bag for your bullets. Nice accessory, very fashion conscious. Big skull on the side, nice. We like that. Peak 40k design. You can already see the damage if you were paying attention. The Krourk does about 400 damage per shot. This one goes up to 435. I'm actually not entirely convinced these numbers are accurate, but whatever. The damage goes up. Can you see the amount of bullets in the mag here? Well, this one has 400 out of 200 reserve. This one has 400, what am I saying? 40 rounds in the magazine, 200 reserve. This mark has 30 rounds in the mag, 150 in reserve. This one also has a different stat, if you'll pay attention. The Krourk has stopping power, and then damage, collateral, stability, and range. This mark has critical bonus instead of stopping power. And yes, these guns have real finesse with real weak spot damage and real crit bonus damage, unlike basically every other Ogryn weapon. We'll cover that in a minute as well. And then the last but not least, we have the big boy Achlys Mk II. As you can see, fattest barrel, longest barrel, nice, almost autocannon-esque round drum magazine. So if you really want to, you can use this gun and pretend that it is an autocannon, and Games Workshop can't stop you. Fatshark can't stop you. They won't. We'll nickname this one the autocannon, or just the cannon. This thing is a real monster. 600 damage per shot, 20 rounds in the mag, 100 in reserve. So the keen-eyed and quick-witted of you might be immediately making a comparison to the bolter, and I think that's a reasonably accurate one. They're not identical, this gun and the bolter, but it's a rough ballpark for how much damage you will do per shot, and how much ammo and rate of fire and stuff you have. This thing actually does on a per bullet basis. This thing hits harder than the bolter, but I mean, obviously Ogryn is not a veteran or a zealot. They have, especially veteran, they have way more damage bonuses to ranged fire that they can take from the tree to really juice their range damage that in a way that the gunlugger simply can't on a per shot basis. He has other buffs that don't synergize with single shot weapons per se very well, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these things just kind of, they work out of the box. They're very strong weapons with good baseline stats and performance, so don't worry about that. They also have a nice blessings pool. We'll look at the blessings right now. They have their own mastery tract. You can see the Twin Linked Heavy Stubber here, and then separate from it is the single barrel Heavy Stubber. These are the blessings available to these guns. Surgical, as I said, these are precision rifles, and the blessing pool, definitely some of the blessings in here really lean into that identity. Not all of them. Some of them are more suited to using the hip fire, which is functional, but not really. It's not the highlight of the gun, but it's very strong if you get up close and unload those big high caliber rounds. With the full auto hip fire, they turn semi-auto when you brace the gun. Deadly accurate, as I said, real critical damage and blessings that do real crit damage related stuff. Like it's not an illusion, it's not a dream. Ogryn is getting a crit build. It's finally happening, at least on these guns. Overwhelming fire. This blessing also exists on the Twin Linked Heavy Stubbers, but on that variant, on that weapon family, it requires 4 shots on an enemy to build 1 stack. Stacks 5 times. These guns obviously have much less rounds per mag, lower rate of fire, so they stack per single hit, 1 shot. 1 shot builds 1 stack of overwhelming fire. 1 shot on the same target. So I personally like using this one on the Krourk Mk IIa, the light mark of the new Heavy Stubber family, because it shoots pretty fast and has low recoil and is easy to follow up shots with. This is definitely a blessing to keep an eye on. Blazeaways is something you can pick on these guns as well. I don't have a lot of experience using this because that's just not what I wanted out of these guns, but you can put it on there and go hog wild as long as ammo supplies lasts. Opening salvo. This is an interesting choice for these guns. I've played around with this a bit and done some testing with it, along with my friend Fireant, creator of the Ogryn, who has been testing the breakpoints for these guns very thoroughly. And opening salvo is a really nice blessing for some of these marks to ensure you get some juicy one-shot breakpoints against some priority enemies. So this is definitely a strong blessing and a nice addition for these guns. Cavalcade exists on the Rippers on Ogryn. It also exists on these guns to more effect, I would say, because these have a much more significant critical damage bonus than any other gun on Ogryn. So you could do Blaze Away Cavalcade with these guns and have a lot of fun blowing people away with hard-hitting crits until you run out of ammo about 90 seconds later, but we won't talk about that too much. Headhunter as an alternative to surgical, as a blessing to build crit chance. You can also use Headhunter. Again, maybe it's obvious synergy seems to be more with the Krourk Mk IIa. I'm getting into it too deep. I'll show you the gun. I will shoot it in a minute. Hold on. There's Pinning Fire. We all know this one from the Bolter and the Shredder Auto Pistol. There's Inspiring Barrage, which we're also familiar with. This exists on the Stubbers and the existing Stubbers and the Ripper. And I think even the Kickback can get this. And there's Glory Hunter. 16% toughness per kill, the same tier of Glory Hunter that exists on the Bolter. There are stronger versions of this that give much more toughness on elite kill. That version of the blessing exists on the Grenade Gauntlet on Ogryn, for example. But we felt that would be too much toughness on elite kill because you can chain elite kills back to back very easily with these guns because of the amount of damage that they do and their ammo capacity. So 16% toughness it is, and I mean it's worth using for sure. Ogryn has a strong talent called Steady Grip, which helps you regenerate toughness in range combat, but Glory Hunter is an acceptable substitute on some of the marks, on the big gun especially. Now, enough talk, chit chat. You just want to see how these work, so I'll show you. I will start with the Krourk Mk IIa, the light mark. This is what the flashlight looks like. I apologize about my in-game settings. They're kind of low. Normally I play through game GeForce Now to play on the cloud, but on the preview build I have to use my own computer, which isn't very strong. But you can see still, even on my shitty settings, that flashlight is pretty powerful. I have no idea how it compares to other flashlights in the game. I've not done a side-by-side comparison with the flashlights on the infantry autoguns or whatever, but my intuition says this is a pretty strong flashlight with long range. This is what it looks like when you hip fire these guns. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. As you can see, very high damage per shot, and the pretty high rate of fire on the hip fire mode means that you can absolutely blow people away from up close. But not very accurate. If you're trying to take shooters down at range, this is not how you want to go about it. This is when I think the real star of this weapon family comes into play. The brace firing mode, and as you can see, the crosshair almost fully contracts, and you can place pinpoint accurate shots basically out to infinite range. If I miss, it's because I'm bad and not because the gun is bad. You can just snipe fools all day with this thing. As you can see, even if you don't one-shot an enemy, especially on the Krourk Mk II light mark, the recoil is pretty low. Follow-up shots are easy. The damage is high. This thing kicks ass. I'll swap now to a second mark. This is the Gorgonum Mk IIIa, the medium mark, as it were, dealing slightly more damage than the Krourk. It has a critical bonus stat, so it leans into crits more. So if you inspect this and we go to the attack breakdown, we can see, look at this body damage, and then look at this weak spot and critical damage and critical weak spot damage. This is some real, actual, big ass finesse that we are seeing on these guns for the first time in Ogryn history. Amazing. You can actually gain a lot of bonus damage out of shooting people in the head and critic. So because of that, I've put deadly accurate and surgical on this gun for this the purposes of this demonstration. Whoops, I set everything on fire. So this is the medium mark. And a crit headshot gives you enough damage to one-shot even a flamer. You can one-shot snipers, you can one-shot gunners. These things are juicy. Juicy. With crits and with weak spot hits. How many shots does a Reaper take? I mean, okay, it's a Reaper. It has a ton of HP. But even still, 3 crits to the head will take him down. Now, we don't need to wait for 3 crits. We can just do 1 crit and then a couple of follow-up shots. Boom, there he goes. 3000 DPS. Good night. That's the medium mark. It has slightly slower swap and deploy speeds than the Krourk. I didn't even show you. I just realized. We'll go back to the Krourk for a second while we listen to some funky drum and bass. Not the snappiest gun family in the world, but for Ogryn standards, this is pretty responsive. Back to the Gorgonum. I believe this gun has, yeah, much worse hip fire than the Krourk. The Krourk is meant to be the more mobile and assaulty one out of them all. The most like a battle rifle instead of like an actual DMR rifle or a sniper rifle. But as you move up to the Gorgonum, you'll see that this thing is really not meant for running and gunning. This thing is meant for popping heads and one-shotting fools. Yeah, that's enough, Stephanie. Then we move on to the Achlys Mk II on this weapon family. Achlys stands for the big boy instead of the light one. I've put opening salvo on this gun because, well, I wanted to show it off, and it has Glory Hunter. There's no real point to that in this little demonstration in the meat grinder, but whatever, this is what I was running on it. Carapace, Armored, and Unyielding Enemies perk, because I want to show you, well, alright, that this gun, with just opening salvo, has enough juice to one-shot flamers. I don't even need the Maniacs perk. Just opening salvo is enough. Don't even need a crit. Can just rely on opening salvo to get the one-shots that I want. Oh yeah, cleave. These things have really decent cleave and penetration. Let's line up the shot here. Oh, I missed that guy. Let's line up the shot. Boom. All three of them hit. One guy's fried because I didn't hit him in the head. You can even shoot through a Rager into another target. Kill the shotgunner standing behind him. It's not plasma tier cleave. Let's see how many specials I can shoot through. Yeah, so that shot stopped at the Dreg Flamer and did not hit the Tox Bomber standing behind him. So you can cleave through about 3 major units. Obviously, you cannot shoot through enemy Ogryns. They're way too hefty, too meaty. You can shoot through gunners, hit another gunner. You can shoot 3 guys standing in a row easily. If a trapper is hiding inside of a horde, doesn't matter. These guns will punch right through. And as the biggest mark, this one has, I believe, the worst hip fire. Actually, this is not so bad. Yeah, okay, never mind. And then you can see the spread increase. The bloom goes crazy after like the 3rd or 4th shot. But it's not so bad if you want to hit something. If you're moving around and you want to... Wow. Getting lucky with these blind fire headshots. The first couple of shots are not that far off center, but it's not, obviously not precise. Ideal is just doing this and getting exactly the headshots that you want. I think there's nothing much else to show about these weapons. They're not very flashy. They're pretty straightforward. It's not like the Psych or two-handed swords where they have a brand new anime wind slice mechanic special attack that I can explain. They're just guns. They work, they shoot. But on Ogryn, it's pretty revolutionary that your bullets actually go where you aim. So I'm going to be real with you. I can't get enough of it. I will be very happy to see these weapons go live tomorrow, December 3rd, when the patch comes out and the game officially releases on PlayStation 5. I think it's a really great addition to the game and to the Ogryn class. This gives us real punching power, real sniping power at range. And, you know, I think Ogryn is a pretty good class to use as a sniping platform because, you know, Ogryn is very tall. We can see over the battlefield. We can easily identify targets behind the horde or the current engagement and take them out. And I'm really excited about being able to do that. And, oh yeah, I'm also excited about being able to do this. Well, that's not what I meant. This! This is what I'm very excited about. Obviously, that was with the 30% rending upgrade node for Point Blank Barrage, but this thing is an absolute armor melter with that talent. Now, as you might have already guessed, because these guns don't have an amazing rate of fire, I don't think they're very good with light 'em up. So the Twin Linked Heavy Stubbers will continue to hold the niche for being the best at spreading burn stacks around really fast and also doing the most boss DPS because of that. Though these guns hit very hard. They do big chunks of unyielding damage if you hit the boss in the head and you land some weak spot hits and some crits. Easier said than done. on certain bosses than others. These things hit very hard into like a Beast of Nurgle's weak spot or a Plague Ogryn's head, but a Chaos Spawn is so erratic, it's hard to hit the tiny weak spot in the middle of its writhing, fleshy mass. So against bosses like that, the Twin Linked Heavy Stubbers with Light 'em Up, Stacking Burn will be, I think, still the strongest boss DPS that a ranged Ogryn build can have. But that's okay, you know, these new Heavy Stubbers shouldn't do everything better than the existing weapons that we have. That would be completely unfair. So these are amazing at, obviously, taking care of pesky shooters, hiding behind cover, sniping them in the head. Same goes for gunners. Easily taking care of annoying specials. And they're also just very strong up close into stuff like melee elites. This big chunking gun. But as you can see there, the hipfire is actually very inaccurate, so could be kind of unreliable. But the damage is definitely there. One last thing I wanted to maybe show is just the armor damage without using point blank barrage. I'm kind of rambling and just thinking of topics as we go along, so if you stuck around with me to the end of the video, thanks for watching the whole thing. Without using point blank barrage, this is the anti-armor performance of the big Achlys gun. As you can see, makes a big difference whether you hit them in the head or not, but yeah, you can definitely bully crushers with this thing. No problemo. And then, okay, so fine, like one last comparison. We look at the Krourk. This is the light mark, which has its improved handling and higher rate of fire and lower recoil as its advantages. This thing does not do as much armor damage as the bigger mark, but it holds its own. It's still good. These guns, all of them have such high caliber bullets that they have a certain level of anti-armor performance. Especially if you manage to hit these guys in the head. It just works. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you today as a little preview of the new Heavy Stubbers. I hope you're excited. Try them out tomorrow. See for yourself. I will definitely be using these on a lot of my builds because, you know, well, it's just really nice to have a gun that actually shoots where you aim. I keep repeating it, but it's so amazing. For Ogryn, wow, we're here 2 years later and we got here. So yeah, not the flashiest or most exciting of guns, but a welcome addition to the arsenal. They fill a gap that needed to be filled, and they do their role admirably. So that's it. I will see you guys probably tomorrow in game using these guns. Have fun. Goodbye.